Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, no. He's the first one or the second one?
He's the second one, but
Actually,
you can do
you're
them first
super
if you
on
want.
time. You're early. So thank you for joining us.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Virtually, we have Dolores from the mayor's office. We have Councilwoman Marsha, Councilman Wesley, BCTV, and Igor, and Shelley, our city clerk, one of our city clerks. How are you today?
I'm super. How are you?
Yeah. Good, thank you. Marsha, would you like to start us off, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to be asking, first of all, thank you for wanting to serve and wanting to just, if you could describe what your role is with HVAC and why you want to be serving.
Well, I actually thought I'd been serving for the last 8 years now. I showed up
You
for
have
every
been,
meeting,
yeah.
and I put a lot of time into this already. So what I do is I'm a president of an HVAC company, and we take pride in doing good work. We take pride in the city of Reading to make sure that the people in the city of Reading are taken care of. We put in the proper systems, and people do what they're supposed to do to keep us safe. People need some protection from ourselves sometimes.
Do you feel that a lot of people may not understand what the parameters are for these type of systems?
Well, my direct feeling is that what we do is a trade and a career, and we spend money for schooling, and we know what we're doing. And unfortunately, with stores like Home Depot and Lowe's, you can go out and buy a system and install it. What I like about the being on the board is we help prevent that. So
Right.
carbon monoxide is a real thing.
Yes, I'm going to make him an appointment, but you can ask him probably either set of questions.
Oh, we apologize.
No sweat. So, people, like I said, they need some protection from themselves. I'm one of those people that look at the dollar point, the price point. And if it's a good price point, that's more than likely going to be the direction I go. And if I could have somebody on the side put in a system for me illegally and save money, I wouldn't do that. But I'd like to think some other people would. Actually, I've seen it thousands of times being on the board and having situations where people will install that system illegally and unsafely, and they're putting their family and really their neighbors in harm's way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was looking for, is just that continued concern about safety. As people move into properties where they may not understand what's appropriate. Like you said, there's a lot of systems out there that may not work. I think it's so important for you to be serving in this capacity with your background and knowledge.
Well, good. I appreciate that. I take pride in the company I work for, the person I am, and the city that I came from. I graduated from Reading High. I just recently moved out, so I take pride in it. I'm a Reading kid.
Great. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to my fellow council members, Wesley or Johanny.
Chad, did you say you were already serving on this board?
Yes, not officially.
Gotcha.
I didn't know that there was an official board. So technically what happened is Kim Bradigan came to me. I said 8 years. It very well could be 6 years. He came to me several years ago and said, "Hey, I need help. I got multiple positions on this board, and there's really nobody else I trust. Would you mind coming on with us?" I took it as, this is awesome. The city of Reading, they want me to be part of their program, and I took great pride in it. And I'm taking some hurt feelings to this meeting as like, well, now I got to prove myself and do what I have to do. But I realized I should have done that 6, 7, 8 years ago and started this process normally instead of just showing up for meetings, showing up for 7 o'clock meetings. And we used to meet, and then we'd approve licenses and talk over codes and rules. And so I did all that. I did all that legwork, and I just thought this was just something that was given to me. But then I realized there is a process. Then once I got the folder and realized all the questions and all that other stuff, I was like, ah, well, I better sit down and be a good boy.
And you know what? Thank you for all those years that you served, even if it was on a unofficial or official capacity. Now, we're getting to know you, you're getting to know us, and we thank you for all them hours that you dedicated and all the, the time that you volunteered helping the city. So I just want to say thank you for that. I do have a few more questions, if you don't mind. So in your experience, as you've been serving already, what are the areas or what would you say are some of the issues the board has had?
Some of the areas that I have contention with is the licensing. That is not a city of Reading issue. That is a state of Pennsylvania issue. We do work for Redner's, Boscov's, and they have stores all over the United States. Well, East Coast anyway. And it turns out my license from the state of Pennsylvania doesn't really matter too much in the state of Delaware. So I would like to develop a test that would be recognized through the other tri-state area. So our license that we get in the city of Reading is strictly for Reading. I don't know if that's a board issue. I don't think I answered your question properly. With the board, we meet, we discuss future licenses, and we discuss code issues. Other than that, I don't know what the board is supposed to do. So that was my experience, and those are the two main things that we handled. And I don't know if that's lacking in any way. Maybe more communication from the president of the board. But as I realized, we're going to be picking a president, so there wasn't a president. Or did the president just pass away? Was that the guy from UGI that just passed away over the winter? I'm not sure.
I'm not familiar.
I don't think there was a president, so I don't think there was a leader of this board. So if I were to say anything, it would be leadership. I don't know if Kim was assuming the president role, or that was the gentleman from UGI. I can't remember his name.
Jeff George? Does that sound familiar?
Yes, that is.
The capacity is 9 members of the board?
Yes, 9 members. Do you know of others, Chad, who are serving that may not have gone through this process that I can catch up with?
The only person that I haven't seen in the email chain is Jeff Kearney. Jeff Kearney was an acting member on the board, showed up for a couple of meetings, but I did not see his name on this. And as far as I knew it, it was only 4 of us. Craig Wiseman, Kim Bradigan, Jeff George, and Jeff Kearney.
Okay.
That's from Jeff's Heating and Air Conditioning, or Jeff's Heating and Cooling, maybe.
Thank you. I'll try and catch up with him.
And Chad, in your capacity, do you make recommendations in terms of ordinances that perhaps need to be updated or modified?
All the time. We talk, the point of contention was oil tanks. There, 6, 7, 8 years ago, starting from 2008, 2009, code states that oil tank must be removed. As we all know, oil is a volatile product. It's all based on what the world's doing. So just because now it's beneficial to go with natural gas, it doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the future. So we got to stay current with current situations. The chimneys, that was another thing we did several years ago, is we outlawed chimneys. We don't like chimneys. The problem with the chimneys in the city of Reading are the houses are too old. The houses are 75 to 100 years old. Therefore, that's making the structural support of that chimney 100 years old also. And the systems that burned years ago burned a whole lot hotter. They were wasteful. So that means more heat goes up through your chimney. And that chimney was able to handle that high heat. And they were sized for that high heat. Now we have super efficient systems, and the chimney is too large. And what happens is these newer systems causes water to form, and it deteriorates the chimney. So we wanted to make sure that people would replace their chimney as they were replacing their system. So that's something that I'm proud about, that we made sure we changed. And you just gotta stay current. You gotta just pay attention to what's going on in the world today.
And if I may, how does this board do that? If you can walk me through that process.
We sit down. So basically what happens, what I'm talking about is Kim came in and said, hey, I see these problems. These guys are lining the chimney. I said, well, then we need to stop it. You know, what we need to do then is we need to start forcing out chimneys. They either put a liner in or they put a high efficient furnace in to where it doesn't use the chimney. And chimneys are a waste of money. So to answer your question is, one of the board members would bring it as a point of contention and we talk about it and then we'd vote on it.
Got it.
Jeff George was a great member of this board. It's a shame that he's going to be well missed.
Hi, Chad. What are you looking to accomplish in the future on this board?
That's a trick question. Personally, I don't expect anything. Honestly, professionally and personally, I like to say that I'm on the Reading board. I like to be part of something that's doing good for the community. So I don't know how to quite answer your question because I don't know what to expect out of myself.
No, I'm talking about as like the whole board, not just you personally, but
what I expect the board to do is keep the citizens of Reading safe. Make sure that they're not putting the chimneys on a walkway. Make sure that people that are coming into the city and doing that work are properly licensed.
Okay, my question is answered. That's the only question I had. I believe you're more than well qualified to be on this board. So
I have 30 years experience. I'm 40. I'll be 49 in a month. I've been doing this since I'm 15. I can't fix a car. I can cut your grass because that's physical labor. I'm good at physical labor, but the only thing I know is how to fix heating and air conditioning systems, and I take pride in it.
Thank you, Chad. Marsha, do you have questions for Chad?
Yeah, just a follow-up, Chad. I was very intrigued by the comments you made about chimneys. Living in an almost 100-year-old row home that does have oil heat, the oil tank was replaced, the heating system was replaced. We never did anything to chimneys. So if we weren't informed about that, I'm wondering how other folks are being informed, because I do see your concern. And I want to be able to think about how your committee could be being the catalyst for more education for the community.
So with this board, I would like to educate as many people as I can. I don't know how to accomplish that with this board. So I'm working with the Olivets. I haven't done this yet. I've been talking about it for 3 months. I haven't done it yet. But I want to get our youth, especially from the Olivets Boys and Girls Club, to get some type of program. So my thought is directly that I went to Olivets. I grew up on Mall Street. I know everything about that club, and I take pride in it. And I donate a lot to the Olivets, and I want these kids, because the Olivets isn't the cool place to go for a 15, 16-year-old kid anymore.
Right.
That's for younger kids. I want to get 15, 16-year-old kids placed in some type of after-school program, summer program, to where they're learning a trade, not just heating and air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, anything that's going to help them in the future. I don't care if it's accounting. We need to get these 15, 16-year-old kids sitting down with somebody responsible and teaching them how to live their life in the future.
And thank you for taking some lead in that. I'd be interested in following through and seeing how that happens, because you are correct about the youth that are underserved are the ones that are 15 and above.
There's nothing for those kids except for sports.
Yeah.
And, but when I was 15, 16, I was going to be a professional baseball player. Now my best hope is to be a professional basketball player because I can't play baseball anymore. I can shoot a jump shot. But yeah, that's what I'd like to do. And to answer your first question about the chimney is you stayed with oil. Oil is the same efficiency as it was back in the 60s. So
Okay.
that's unfortunate. I would recommend you go to a gas system or a heat pump and use your oil as a backup. So no, I would not recommend you do anything to your chimney except get it cleaned and inspected
Right.
on a regular basis.
Right.
And what we do as contractors is when we come in, and if you had an oil furnace and somebody put in a gas furnace, Kim Bradigan, the inspector, would fail it because it's not proper.
Right.
So we have those laws or regulations already in place by the performance of the board that I currently served on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So just to try to wrap this up, if anyone else has questions, I guess I'm more concerned about how do we support this board, because you brought up a very interesting point in terms of leadership and how a board should function, with chair, vice chair, secretary, etc. Because you're discussing very important matters, and if we aren't made aware of it, then how do we support it and therefore disseminate all this information and education to our constituents? So I would like to know, and if we can even put this on our things to do list, how do we support this board so that you operate as a sounding board, and we establish some type of communication from your board to council and to the administration so that we're always working on making things better, safer, and so on?
Well, like I do over here with my business, and the reason I was 5 minutes late, or I thought I was 5 minutes late, here I was 10 minutes early. So my apologies for that also. We were in a weekly meeting. So basically I have the heads of each department come over and, what's going on in your department. Our first point of contention is what we talked about last week. Did we have any action, or what was our action from the points that we spoke about the prior week? So my advice to get more help from the city to help us with this board is to give us a liaison or somebody who will meet with our president and report back to whoever their constituents are that's going to help us, or that person. Now, that person sounds like a very important person, and I think they would want to send a representative out to do that. Did I lose you?
No, we're still here. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So that would be my point, is you send somebody over there to take minutes, because I did notice in these meetings nobody took minutes, and a meeting that doesn't take minutes is just a conversation. So if you can make all the plans you want, but it requires action to have those plans followed up. So somebody needs to make the board accountable, and once those actions are set in place, somebody needs to follow up. And if it's a matter of saying, well, we need this from I'm guessing from the parking authority, then we got to go to the parking authority and say, well, we need to maybe not ticket us so bad if my guys are parked in a loading zone or something. I'm just making a for instance. Of course, that doesn't make any sense, but just a for instance. So have a liaison meet with the president of the board after our meetings, and then they could get the notes from our meetings, and then they could read what's important. Or have a conversation, a lunch date with the president of our board, and then they could communicate it, or simply go to the meeting together.
Thank you, Chad. Anyone else have questions for Chad? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chad, for finally interviewing with us after how many years? We said 6 to 8, just about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you again for your commitment and your service and your desire to contribute to our city and the well-being of our community members. And we will, next steps, we will vote at our next voting meeting, which is Monday,
Correct.
the 27th, right? Am I correct with the date?
Yes.
So stay tuned. You can join our meeting either in person or you can tune in virtually. Okay, Chad?
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you. We appreciate yours as well. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
This is Steve Simons. He is interview number, should have been 1, so
Okay.
he'll be next. And here's his.
Okay, let me- Steve?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Steve. Is it Steve or Steven?
Stephen or Steve's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stephen, for joining us and for interviewing for the HVAC board. We have several people on the call. We have Dolores from the, he's doing both. Oh, he's doing HVAC board and fire building code and Board of Appeals.
Yep.
Okay, wow, you're gonna be a busy man, Stephen. So just so that you know who's on the call, we have Dolores from the administration's office, we have Shelley from city clerk's office, Councilman Butler and Councilman Goodman Hinnerschitz, myself, Councilwoman Johanny Cepeda Freitas, we have Igor, and we have BCTV.
Okay.
So, and he's a new one.
Yep.
Marsha, would you like to get us started?
Yes. And I wanted to say, I don't know whether you were listening to any of the previous conversations we had with the other applicant.
I was not. I wasn't able to get connected for whatever reason, so I had to go through like 3 different ways to try to even get in. So I've
Well,
only
thank
been
you
on
for your patience. Yeah,
it's all good.
yeah, we did a really deep dive with this individual regarding just the functions of the HVAC board and how it could be improved. So we wanted to be able to get your point of view, especially how the information is shared with the community.
Okay, so I don't know if the participants in this are is aware of my history and my commitment to the city. I was on the RAWA board for 10 years, and I was on the
Right.
master plumbing board for the city of Reading for
Mhm.
15 years. So my life had made some changes. I had some young children again. So my time commitments have changed. So I got off those boards. The RAWA board was taking a lot of my time. Personally, there was a lot of stuff going on. So I wasn't able to dedicate as much time to that board. And that's why I had stepped down. The Master Plumbers Board at the time, I would have stayed on that board, but at that time you couldn't serve on 2 boards. So I had to get off the Master Plumber Board to help out on the RAWA board. And that's why I left the Master Plumbers Board. But I wanted to get involved in the HVAC board because, I've been a master plumber and HVAC person for over 35 years. I have master plumbing licenses in Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, here in Pennsylvania. So I have a lot to offer. I'm also on the apprenticeship committee for the plumbing board down at the Ole Tech school. So I'm on the apprenticeship board there. I'm around the trade all day, every day. And this city is where I grew up. I still call the city my home, even though I don't live in the city anymore, but I own lots of properties. And I feel that anytime that I can help out with the city, it's important for me to do so. I think on the HVAC, it's real important because I think these home centers and some of these, the contractors that are working in the city pose a threat with the way things are done with gas and venting. And I just think that we need as much help as we can to make sure that, we have eyes here and we put things in place the best we can for the safety of all the people that live in the city. If you're working on one house and it's a row home, you're directly working on the house on each side. So I just think it's very important that we do everything we can possibly do between new equipment, making sure people are getting permits, making sure that we're following through on inspections, just for the safety of the city. We don't want any issues. I think the Kim Brodigan is doing a phenomenal job with inspections. It's a big city, and we got a lot of stuff going on, but we need to do a little bit more, I think.
Okay, and I think you brought up a very important point as far as some of the vendors don't take into consideration what are the best safety practices. How do you think we can educate the community to know when they're making decisions with these types of systems, how to make the safe and right decisions?
I think what we need to do is we need to advertise of some sort, some way, get it out to our citizens in the city to let them know that when they are having an HVAC issue, or a plumbing issue, that they hire the right people. Now, I understand money's always an issue, and everybody's always looking to see where they can save. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that we express to the citizens that they need permits, and it's not so much the cost of the permit. It's more of the safety of it, getting another set of eyes on it so that we can come out and inspect it to make sure that it is safe, that there isn't a cross connection, and that the equipment is properly vented, and all the safety factors are in place. But I think the general public may or may not know that that is a requirement. And if you have somebody that doesn't meet the criteria and is just putting it in because they ran to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I'm not blasting those places by any means, but if they don't get a permit, then it's really never inspected, and then you really never know if the equipment was installed properly.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think some of my fellow counselors will probably follow through with some of those questions. But thank you, and I really admire your commitment to the city. Very much appreciated.
No, I thank you, and the city's been my home all my life. I have very strong feelings for the city and the people there, and that's why I continue to stay involved with the city.
Great.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for also sharing a little bit about yourself with us, with the group. Wesley, do you have any questions?
Yes. Hi. My only question is, what are your qualifications and experience to be on this board?
So I've been a master plumber and HVAC technician for over 35 years. I was the youngest master plumber in the city of Reading back in 1986. I have master plumbing and HVAC licenses in Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey. I'm also an ICP inspector, which means in the different municipalities, including Muhlenberg, Temple, Lauderdale. I am also their plumbing and heating inspector. So my qualifications go back since I was 14, 15 years old. I also am a substitute teacher down at the apprenticeship school now. I used to be an instructor, but again, time commitments had got me away from that. So this is all I've ever done my whole life. It's what I know, and it's what I know best. So I have all my licenses, all my certifications, and everything that I could possibly need to do any type of work in any of the states surrounding Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for serving on this board.
Sure.
Stephen, how do you think we can expose more of our youth to these types of opportunities? I mean, you shared, and also the other gentleman prior to you shared about becoming an apprentice at a very early age and getting into this line of work. What can we do to create the same type of opportunities or have the same resources for our youth in the city of Reading?
Yeah, I think what we're doing now is slowly starting to come around. We had on the plumbing board years ago, we only had 2-3 kids coming into school. Now those numbers are starting to go up again. I think the parents and I think the young adults are starting to see that not everything can be done by a computer. I think that they're looking at the opportunity from a financial standpoint that they don't have to spend $150,000 to go to college, and they can still make $75,000, $100,000 a year. The sky's the limit. So I think the youth is getting smart by looking around and going, wow, Tommy went to apprenticeship school for 4 years and only spent $12,000, and he's making $80,000 a year. I think the peer pressure that they're putting on themselves and looking around is starting to work. I know I speak at schools all the time, and the apprenticeship schools about not where you are, but where you're going and the different opportunities that you can have. I mean, I grew up in Oak Brook, the baby of 10. You moved to Franklin Street, and I came hard times, but I came a plumber, and I've been very successful. My story shouldn't be any unique to anybody else that lives in the city or given the opportunities that will be put in front of them.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, Stephen, I also have you here. You're also applying to serve on the Fire and Building Code Board of Appeals.
Yes, I was asked to. I think there was a position there, and with my history of my knowledge with the building trades, all across the board, they thought that I would be helpful to serve on that board as well. So
we're not putting too much on you, right? You can handle all of these.
No. I know the commitments. I know where I'm at in my life today. I know what time constraints I have and what I'm willing to give up. And they will be more than enough for me to be able to help out in these situations. My life had changed a little bit recently in the last 3 months. That will free me up a little bit more for time. So I'm willing to give that time up for the better good of the city.
And we appreciate you and your commitment. One last question on my end. What areas do we need to improve on to better support the work that you and others do on these boards? How do we better help you serve? Or what areas should we be improving?
Sure. I think at the end of the day, I think it's all communication. I know that word gets thrown around generously, but you can't communicate enough, especially when you have a big circle. If you got 35 people in that circle, all 35 that plays a part needs to be somehow communicated. So mass emails, emails that are also acknowledged when you send them so that they know they were read. So if Tommy didn't acknowledge the email, that somebody can reach out to Tommy and say, Tommy, did you realize that we sent that email out for communication, that we are looking to check Fifth and Walnut or whatever it is, so that there's some kind of accountability on the communication. Just to say, okay, I sent an email, you assume that everybody read the email. Well, maybe they didn't. So communication is huge. And I think listening to the people that have the experience and take the chance and understanding that there's 6 people on this board that says this is really something that's important to do. We really need to think about this. Is important that you accept the change and take the people's word for it, that they know what they're talking about, and that these changes should be put in place for the betterment of the city. Product is constantly changing, making it more affordable for people to do things. We should not be stuck in the ways of the old school ways of just saying it's because this is the way it's been for years and years and years. That's just not working in the world that we live in today, because we need to make things more affordable for the people to be able to make these upgrades. If they're expensive, it's hard for the people to do it.
So if I may, and I don't want to task you with additional work, but even from listening to Chad and his interview, it just sounds like the board could use some help in terms of structuring itself so that minutes are created, minutes are produced, because if there's no record keeping of what's happening at these meetings, then we have no knowledge of what's happening. And then we are unable to really either disseminate information or how do we know what needs to be upgraded, updated, so that we can be better in serving our constituency and obviously creating a safer environment for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's important. I know on the Master Plumbing Board, Jay Montgomery would always take notes. I know we were very transparent with the meetings, and then I'm going back from when I was on the board, but I know we've always had meeting minutes, and I know we always were very transparent with the city and everybody as far as what we were doing at those meetings. the steps we were taking for products, steps we were taking for apprenticeships, licensing, journeymen's across the board. So if that wasn't happening in any other trades, yeah, I didn't know that. But as far as I understood, the Master Plumbing Board, we always took minutes. And I know, obviously, at RAWA, we do always take meeting minutes and record, just so there was transparency. And then, you know, being able to provide the public, the general public, with any information, right to knows and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those boards that you mentioned, that they're, I think, more organized. So we do get minutes and we're able to read what's happening. But for this one in particular, I don't think that we have much on what's happening and
well, that wouldn't be very
what are the
difficult.
recommendations.
Right. It wouldn't be very difficult to put that in place. Obviously, if the board consists of 5, 6 people, one just would be the person, and whether it's rotated or would just be dedicated to whoever, would just take the minutes and provide them to council, and
Right.
they could be posted, and you know, just so that the general public can see it, and city council, so they can better understand what the board is actually doing.
So I'm hoping, you know, once you get officially appointed, maybe you can help us with that. Maybe we need to figure out how to better
Absolutely.
structure it, just so that we are constantly communicating with one another and supporting the work that you all are doing. Any other council members have questions, or do you have questions for us, Stephen?
No, I'm very pleased with the council. I know we just lost a councilman, and I was sad to see that. I know his brother very well, and I knew him very well. So I know that's a huge loss with his commitment to the city and the love and all the time that he put in. So that is a loss.
Absolutely.
But no, I don't, because I'm still very involved with the city. I talk to the inspectors, you know, consistently because of the work and that I do in the city. So I know, you know, Jamal's in there doing a phenomenal job. I know the mayor's doing what he can do, and Marcia and the whole crew and their councils just plugging away, trying to do what we can do to keep it going.
Well, thank you. Does any council person have any additional questions for Stephen? Okay, so Stephen, yep, yes, Marcia?
No, I just wanted to thank him.
Okay.
And, you know, the one point I wanted to make, we talked about this in the previous interviews, that maybe the city administration, whoever, needs to have a liaison to help to support this board, just so, as they do in some of the other boards and authorities. So it's a dialogue we have to have with the mayor's office.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
I don't
Marcia.
think that's very difficult to do, Marcia. I think it's getting somebody that's in the place that's going to be able to communicate the best they can with what the board is working on or trying to achieve. Again, it's just be communication, and whoever the right person would be is to, you know, dialogue that and make sure that it gets to the appropriate people.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for your dedication to our city and for your time. We appreciate you. We will be voting on your appointment next week at our public hearing, and that's June 27th. You can tune in virtually or you can come in person. And you will, you'll get the results of your appointment.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it.
You have a good night, and we shall be in communication soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Anything else? I saw.
Yeah, we can skip this. I don't really have anything for the diversity training today. Ken and I are still working on that. I'll have more information at the next meeting. But can we do these two? We need to decide. I'd like the committee to determine or discuss whether or not there's an application deadline for the redevelopment authority, so I know when I can start scheduling the interviews. And to determine whether or not you all want the mayor to review the applications before they are interviewed by council.
Johanny, I have another question that needs to be answered, and it's a broader question, and it was run by Michael Gumbar. As far as how people are screened to be able to see whether they're eligible or not, I believe we need to have that discussion with the committee of the whole, because there's certain standards that were set that is going to affect the redevelopment authority.
Okay, so are you saying that we should postpone this conversation until we have that with Mike Gumbar, or can we still?
I'm very
Uh,
hesitant in moving forward based on the fact that there's been screening criteria that have been applied that Michael was asked, I believe, by Chris Dalbert for an opinion, gave an opinion. I think the whole opinion needs to come to the whole body so we know where that stands. And I would hate to, it's really with all applicants because we just need to be consistent about how standards are applied.
So what
I
are the,
haven't seen the question or the.
yeah, I haven't
Okay,
seen it either. Or I
Okay,
don't
one of
recall.
them has to do with outstanding taxes. Okay, that was the one thing. The other thing is residency, which we need to be clear with each board, authority, and commission, ones that are moved forward based on whether they meet those criteria. And it's a good, healthy discussion for the group to have, just so we know that we're all on the same page.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall that before they come to be interviewed by us, they're properly vetted,
Right. And
right?
that's
So their
exactly-
backgrounds are done,
Right.
and that's part of their background check, taxes and residency. Am I correct?
Yes.
but
So
I
is there
think that what
anything
we need to
different?
do- We need to hear from Mike Gumbar what his opinion is on the vetting process. And it's a matter of, we have a council solicitor now that was asked for an opinion. He provided it to Chris, and I just think it needs the whole body, and obviously the city clerk's office needs to be aware of what that is.
Right, so are we saying though that if, depending on what it is, that our standards they vary, or they're pretty much the same across the board, are they not?
As of
Well,
right
it's
now.
not a matter of them not varying, it's what he says that we can apply. That's the question. So we've been consistent, but what is being said, and again, I want Mike to be able to give the opinion. I don't want to present what he said
Right.
legally, okay?
Well, do you know what the question was?
Well, the
For
question
Mike?
was regarding delinquent taxes and how that's applied
Oh,
to
'cause I
people
don't-
that are applicants. And again, it's not to be able to say, and Shelley, I want you and the city clerk staff to take this for what it means. It's not that anything was done incorrectly. It's just that we have a solicitor's opinion that gives some guidance, that we need to be able to have him present that.
Okay, yeah, no, I was not offended.
And this is
Okay.
exclusively to taxes, property taxes.
Right, and I just think we need to, I think it's, now maybe not just property, but any outstanding taxes to the city.
Okay. Okay, but that, okay, that's fair. Now, going back to the redevelopment authority appointments,
Do we want to set an application deadline?
I think we need to, because they don't
Yeah, I
really
think
have
we do,
a
yeah.
functioning board right now.
They do not, so,
So I think that should be, I mean, we should probably do
Yeah, I
it sooner than
agree.
later. Yeah.
and do you have an idea of what that deadline would be?
To fill it ASAP.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the deadline is Friday?
Yeah, as
In
long as
terms
we
of
let
all-
the public
I mean,
know.
people
What do you
are
think,
aware
Wes?
that
People,
there's
yeah,
vacancies.
applications have been coming
Okay.
in, so I just wanted to know, since we want to
I see.
interview them all to determine which ones, rather than a first come, first serve, what's
Yes.
my cutoff, so we don't keep extending, all those vacancies out longer than it needs to be.
And then we can
Right.
properly inform and advertise. So
Right.
maybe we want to say, because when would we will interview again, beginning of July?
It would be the first Tuesday, because the 4th is
Right,
a
so the
holiday
5th.
again, so it will be July
Okay.
5th would be the next batch, but the redevelopment we were gonna do as a committee of the whole, like we
Right.
do with the water
Right,
authority, so
right,
it
right.
would be a little bit different for this board. But getting all of that coordinated is gonna take me some time, so.
Right.
I agree.
So do you want to extend it maybe like no more applications after maybe next Wednesday? Would Wednesday be a good deadline, or do you want to make the deadline this Friday?
No, Wednesday would be fine, as long as we all know, that way the
just-
mayor's
Right.
office, when people contact them as well, we can
Mhm.
say,
Exactly.
This is the deadline.
yeah, the
You gotta get it
application
in
is still
fast.
open, but the deadline is
Okay. And then we
Right.
advertise this on our website, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the
And
29th.
I think it's also gone out through social media.
Right, because today is Tuesday. Okay. And Wednesday is what day? The
29th.
9.
right? Because then that gives us time to get it on the agenda. As
Right,
you
'cause
said,
then if somebody sends it in on the 29th, I'll need a batch of days to do the vetting process
Right.
and, get through all of
Right.
that. stuff too.
is that fair to you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, and I think too, we need to be able to look at how we're gonna be selecting, because we might have more applicants than positions open.
Mhm.
And
do
I don't know whether
already.
we're applying the first come, first serve, or whether we just interview everyone and then decide according to their qualifications.
Well, they have to be vetted first, right? So that might,
Right,
that
that
might create a
limit
process of
some, you're right.
elimination, right? Okay. So does that sound fair for everyone? That
Yes.
works?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then,
And then Mayor, how does it normally function?
so you have been functioning that every applicant goes before the mayor for his recommendation before it comes to this committee, but Mike Gumbar has opined that that's not necessary for this board unless council wishes to do so. So I don't know, Marcia, if that's something you want to discuss at committee of the whole,
I think we should.
or if
Already.
this committee should
Mhm.
determine
Right.
that. But that,
I really think since
so
we're
for
gonna be
me,
discussing the
I need
other
to know the
issue,
next step then.
Mhm.
yeah, right. I'm thinking since we're gonna be discussing the other issue with committee of the whole, maybe we just discuss this one too.
Yeah, agree. Wes, are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because usually right now, once we interview,
Mhm.
doesn't it go to the mayor for his approval?
So he gets it and gives his approval before the interview,
Okay, gotcha.
Right, right.
which is why I keep that list of who's kind of where.
Exactly.
So he gets them before the committee does. And generally speaking, if he does not approve, I don't bring them here. So
Gotcha.
if
That's part of the vetting process.
that's part of the vetting process. And so if you want to do it that way for these applicants as well, I kind of need to know what my
Right.
next step is after
Sure.
the deadline.
Yeah, and good point, Marcia. I think once we speak with Mike Gumber, because I think it should be the same across
Mhm.
all boards, authorities, and commissions, should be the same practice.
Exactly.
I think, but I would want to hear from Mike Gumber in terms of what's the legal and the right thing to do and
Right.
how do we carry this through. Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it for today.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shelley.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll see you
Before-
guys.
Thank you.
Before you sign off, since the next one is the day after that holiday, Marcia, you said you cannot do the 5th.
Yeah,
of
I think
July.
I'm not gonna be anywhere in a good cell phone range for the 5th.
Okay. Wes, do you know if you're available that night? That's a
I'm good.
Tuesday, yeah. You're good?
Don't we have a committee the whole that day anyway, don't we?
Yep, yeah,
All right,
As
yeah,
long as you have a majority, that's fine.
yeah.
okay, I will have 2. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't set up a whole agenda and then I don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
And
And
what
depending
if
on
we,
where I'm settled in at, maybe I'll
Yeah.
join you guys, okay?
because we have a committee the whole anyway, so,
Okay.
okay.
I will send the invitation out.
All right, sounds good. All right, anything else? Anyone else?
No, I think
I
we're good.
just have to look for my
Okay.
link for the next meeting.
Great, yeah, so obviously you're gonna be virtual. Wes, you're gonna be virtual as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Dolores and
You're
Igor and
welcome.
BCTV. Good night.
Bye, good night.